por hervume tu tocar, agnella nell'ingiacchi e giureti sporchi.
And here we are. Welcome to the desert of the real. Welcome everybody to AB Live. Once again, here we are at the end of the world, or perhaps it's a tangential universe, as we will be discussing tonight. And this is very excited to have this show, as we have a guest who is truly a friend of the Gnostics, an expert in occultism, great taste in movies, and an eye for all the men behind the curtain of movies. And that is Robert Sullivan, who arrives to the Virtual Alexandria again to discuss his new book, or in his latest book in his series, Cinema Symbolism. Robert, thanks for coming by again.
Well, thank you, Miguel. Thank you, Vance, for having me on, rejoining you in the Virtual Alexandria. It's my pleasure to be here. Yeah, I guess this is about my sixth or seventh time. I feel like I say this, it's cliche. I say it at the start of every show. I feel like a regular now. So it's always great to be back. And I look forward very much to the show.
Yeah, mi heretical casa is tu heretical casa, my friend. So always good to have you there. And like we were talking before, this is, I feel, is your best cinema symbolism book. And I hate to use the word flows better, the cliche of writers, but this one flows better. It's tighter. You really hit a lot of great dimensions in movie and are able to tie it into other movies as the book progresses. There's a grand narrative, and your introduction on on all the different things or powers behind movies is excellent. And I would tell the audience too, just this chapter on Gnostic cinema is worth the price. Excellent book. Robert ties in not just he doesn't just talk about what is Gnostic cinema, but he ties each of the movies to a different thinker, Valentinus, Basilides, so forth. And I know you've done it in your other books, but this one you really upgraded. So good job, Robert.
Well, thank you, Miguel. That's high praise. I really appreciate it. I was really pleased with the way the book came out. I did give it a little more TLC this time, and I think it was worth the wait. I think the payoff was worth it. One of the things, I was on another show, and I'll mention it briefly here, was the book was actually done at one point, or was nearing completion, and I believe this was at either the end of 2019 and the very early stages of 2020, January of 2020, and there were two movies that were recently released on Blu-ray, and I was very eager to see them, and it was Joker and Midsommar. And I just watched both of them, and I was blown away, and I thought, wait a minute, time out. Let's pump the brakes here. I thought there's just so much going on in both those movies. I basically literally stopped the process of the book, and I thought I have to include these movies. They're just too important. There's just too much going on. And, that did delay it. And I don't regret doing it. I think it was worth it. And you mentioned the flow of the book. It's one of the things I'm doing right now is I'm actually going back and looking at my other four books, and I'm actually retweaking them a little bit. There's some parts of it that I don't like. There's some parts of it I do like very much, but I am going back and doing some edits on some of my earlier books. So that'll be happening in the next year or two. I'll be releasing, it's not going to be a third edition or a second edition. It's just going to revise the editions that are currently released. But no, I appreciate your praise. I really do, especially coming from you. And like I said, it was a lot of hard work, and I'm happy with the way it came out as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I can always tell how good a book is by me not wanting to put it down and losing sleep and cursing myself, but it was worth the rush of a good book or movie or novel. You're like, fuck it. And this one had me. Again, your chapters on Midsommar, The Shape of Water and so forth, Joker. I just couldn't put it down. And we definitely want to talk about these movies, especially Joker was more than a movie. It's a cultural event. And
sure,
we agree it sort of presaged what was going to the disaster that was 2020. But first, I want to, of course, we got to talk about who else is here. He was born a pauper to a pawn on a Christmas day when the New York Times said God is dead. He's got to be Levon. No, it's not Levon. It's Vance the Moondog. Vance, thanks for joining us.
Oh,
And yes,
always,
I've been listening
always
to
good to
Elton
hear.
John today.
I guess you have. More like Rocket Man, right?
Yeah, it's always Rocket Man at the Virtual
That's me.
Alexandria. So that is true. So awesome. Let's see, as people start going into the rooms, into the YouTube and the Facebook comments, as always, you guys probably know the rules. If you have questions for Rob, please put them in all caps or many questions. Those of you who do the donation, the super chats will immediately get put to the top. I'm going to also put here is some of the movies that we covered. So if you want to ask a question, you can ask a question of one of these movies, and we're not all over the place. Of course, if you read Robert's past books, feel free to bring up one of the movies he's covered in the past. But those are
Twink Pete's?
some of the
Is that a Disney version? Twink Pete's?
I screwed up that too. Twinkie Pig. Yes, exactly. I better change that. But a little house cleaning here. What was I going to say? A lot going on. For you in the audience, one thing we're going to do is for those of you in the AB Prime subscription, we're going to change our password this month, something we rarely do. So Vance and I will get in our Mad Max cage and decide what's going to be the new password. So please check back, but please keep in mind there is going to be a new password. Other than that, we've got some exciting shows coming up in the future for you. We're going to have an AB Live with Micah Dank on the astrotheology of the Book of Enoch and the Book of Revelation. We'll have a summer special with some scholars on understanding the Gnostics, two experts on Gnosticism, sort of a summer special on Gnosticism. We'll have a Finding Hermes on evil pharma and holistic alternatives. And eventually, towards the end of summer, Chris Knowles is going to join us to talk about the gnosis of Jack Kirby and graphic novels. So a lot going on, and I really appreciate your support, those of you who make it happen. And of course, love your support. I should mention, too, that there are other alternatives that you can support Aeon Byte. Let me put it on the screen here. I'm now on Rockfin, and that's a subscription service where you get not just full shows for Aeon Byte, but a ton of other people, very varied in their extra content, from Jimmy Dore to Jay Dyer. It's just Rockfin is a great place for censorship-free if you want to support with crypto. It's been successful in the last month. In 1 month, I've gone from 400 subscribers to more than 5,000. So it's exploding on Rockfin. You've also got Odyssey 2, which is another favorite for those who are seeking to support with crypto and who want to be in a place that is not run by corporate overlords. So that's some of the house cleaning I've got for now. There'll be more, but let's get back to Rob. I guess we should start with The Joker. Again, this is a movie that came out in October 2019. Seemed like a different world, but this movie was not just a movie. It really was a cultural event. It was a giant mirror in the face of society. And in a way, like what you say in your book, and I'm saying, it sort of really predicted how dysfunctional society would become or is. So let us know your thoughts on Joker, Rob.
Well, I think you said it just as well as I could. I mean, the movie I really like. I mean, if you just strip away and don't talk about the symbolism, I just thought the movie was outstanding anyway. I mean, it's no wonder he won the actor for with the Oscars, and I just really liked how they tied in a lot of the Batman mythology to it. It was kind of went under the radar. I mean, you have the posters in the Ha-Ha's Club for Amusement Mile, and if you're familiar with the Batman mythology, of course, that's one of the Joker's hangouts. Later on, when they go to Wayne Manor, and the Bruce Wayne is a kid, of course, he slides down the pole. I mean, you can't help but think of the old Adam West TV show. So it's just little things like that I liked. But then, yeah, you get really into a lot of the darker symbolism of the movie. I mean, you do have this alchemical theme, that these movie makers really like to play around with, was the transition of the character from one thing to another. In this case, you got the failed comic to the criminal psychopath. You've got the acting, the actor in it, Robert De Niro, which is clearly designed to conjure two previous Martin Scorsese movies. I mean, this is like a, I call it occult casting. It's really, I've kind of evolved on this, and it's really, to me, something coming out of the world of Hermeticism. I mean, it's like, an art of memory technique. This is clearly designed to conjure the King of Comedy and Taxi Driver. I mean, that's irrefutable. And then you get, it's a very dark movie. I mean, my God, the face paint is based on John Wayne Gacy, Pogo the Clown, the child murderer. And then the music when he's dancing down the steps is Gary Glitter. I mean, that was a pedophile that he's rocking out to. And then you're right. I mean, the whole thing just sort of presages, kind of predicts this whole dysfunctionality with the George Floyd murder, the riots, the burning down of everything, the tearing down of society. I mean, you have the Thomas Wayne character, who is clearly meant to be a Donald Trump analog. That's, again, stands out like a sore thumb. And again, this was a movie, like I said at the beginning, where the book was pretty much complete. I was working on the conclusion of it, and it's probably, like January 2nd, 2020. And I'm looking at these two Blu-rays I got for Christmas. I think I got Midsommar for Christmas. I think I bought Joker soon thereafter. I'm looking at them. I'm thinking, oh, let me go watch these movies. I'm watching and my jaw's hitting the ground. I thought, oh, wait a minute, time out. Let me just, stop what I'm doing. And I just knew I had to include those two movies in the book. And like you said, there's just so much going on in both those movies. I mean, it's a very detailed analysis, to say the least.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, you say in your book, it's a slam against wokeness, but it's very multidimensional. It does show
it is. Yeah.
a very important, it's a treatise on how we've all been screwed. I mean, and all of us, if you watch the movie, honestly can understand what part of the middle class, the lower classes and all that have been screwed by the elite. For example, when Joker gets his therapist, he can't see his therapist anymore. I know somebody who's embedded in AA and others for years. It doesn't matter who the president is or the administration. Right. Psychiatry and rehab money from the government is getting cut. It's like a frog in boiling water, which is the theme of the movie, is that everybody's getting screwed over, and you wonder when we will hit that boiling point.
Oh, I agree, and it is a slap in the face of the woke culture. There was this sense that the Arthur Fleck character was this raging white male, the Donald Trump supporter who was trying to tear down society. He's racist and this and that, but it's like, wait a minute, he kills only white people in the movie, and he's in love with an African American woman. So tell me again how this is racist. So yeah, I really did believe it was sort of a slap in the face, of wokeness, as it were. And there, it's funny because I actually kind of contemplated whenever there's a political dimension to a film, I'm always somewhat hesitant to talk about it because you're always, it's the old line. You're always going to wind up offending half your audience. Of course, if it's an older movie like The Wizard of Oz, it's William McKinley and Williams Jennings Bryan, no one cares. And I kind of almost hesitated to put this in. And as you know, if you've read the book, and I know you have, there's some stuff about Donald Trump in there, also some of the strange, coincidences that surround him. And I hedged to whether to put this in. And there's always something with me, and this is just the way I write, and this has happened in all my other books, so Royal Arch or whatever. Whenever there's a sort of voice in my head telling me, oh, don't put this in, this could wind up offending somebody, or don't do it. That's kind of like my clear-cut signal that yes, it has to go in. Yes, it has to go into the book. So that's why I put that stuff in. But yeah, I mean, it is. If you look at Joker, like, what was it, October 19, 2019, it's almost like a roadmap for what was to come. I mean, I think it's strange, to say the least.
I would say so too, and I love how you caught who is inspiration. Part of how he wakes up, her name is, of course, Sophie Dumond or something like that. So you have this Sophianic character, and then you've got Joker. Who would you say? But Joker, from Heath Ledger to Jack Nicholson, is such a fascinating anti-hero. And perhaps, how do you see the Joker?
Yeah, I mean, it is. He's probably one of the greatest, like you said, anti-heroes of all time. I guess he ranks up there with Hannibal Lecter, I suppose. When you look at it, if you look at it now in perspective, looking back, in my opinion, this is just Robert Sullivan speaking here. I mean, just my take on it. I saw Batman '89 in the theater, and I think I saw it like the first day it was out, and I love the movie. That movie is so dated now. The Nicholson Joker, in my opinion, resembles more of the Cesar Romero Joker, more of just kind of like the buffoon type thing, the buffoon character. The crime lord, but he's a buffoon. The one that I think really hit the grand slam with the Joker, the Joaquin Phoenix Joker, is fantastic. The Heath Ledger one is my favorite. I don't think that will change. I mean, because that is just, that's just the straight, anarchy, psychotic Joker who doesn't, I'll say, doesn't give a fuck about anything, even his own self. Just doesn't care. And that's the way the Joker is. I mean, he doesn't care about anyone, anything. It's the devil Mercurius, as it were. And then there's the other one, the Jared Leto one from Suicide Squad. I mean, that's okay. It's an admirable turn-in. I mean, kind of forgettable. So in my opinion, the two Jokers that really stand out are the Joaquin Phoenix one. I don't think it's fair to compare them because they're two different movies. But the Heath Ledger and the Joaquin Phoenix ones, in my opinion, are the two best ones. I like the Nicholson Joker, but again, I think it's dated. And when you watch that movie now, it definitely, at least in my eyes, resembles more of the old Batman TV show with Adam West, than the cutting edge of today.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the Nicholson one hasn't aged well, and I like the anarchist trickster archetype that basically forces us to look at ourselves as more cathartic, and again, it really is our shadow coming out to play, and that's why we love him. I know Heath Ledger, he based it a lot on Malcolm McDowell from A Clockwork Orange and other characters. So
yeah, I mean,
who Joaquin Phoenix? Who did he ever give a hint who he was who he's inspired by or anything? I
know that he based his dance on the Ray Bolger of Ray Bolger's dance, the Scarecrow from The Wizard of Oz. I thought that was pretty interesting. But no, I thought that the Joker character that Phoenix is playing, the one that it reminded me of the most from the source material, was the Killing Joke comic by Alan Moore. We had the origin story of the failed comic. That comes straight from the world of Alan Moore, the Killing Joke, I mean, which is a classic. That to me was the angle the filmmakers were going for. I thought it was just, the down and out loser, figure. It reminded me, a lot. I mean, again, I draw a parallel, and people I haven't seen the movie yet, but they say the Cruella movie sort of runs parallel with the Joker, kind of reverse, where it's the female. And I thought the Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix ran parallel to Black Swan. If you look at those two, there's a lot of similarities. Kind of the failed, frustrating artist living at home with the mother, the parental figure can't go anywhere, and eventually descends into total psychosis. So you will see the parallel with Joker and Black Swan. I haven't seen Cruella yet. I'm most anxious to see it. But from what I've read a little bit online, that the Cruella movie kind of parodies the Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix. So I'll have to see it. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Yeah, I haven't heard anything like that. And what do you think about Hollywood right now? Obviously, the pandemic and the lockdowns really shut things down, movie theaters, and everybody has shifted towards streaming and wondering, are people going to go back? Even there was a story today, Barry Diller, the great Hollywood mogul, said the ticket business is dead. I don't know if he meant the movie business, but he said getting people into the seats is over. So what are your thoughts on this, Rob?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was looking at the box office recently of two movies. It was just out of curiosity, it was just to see what was going on. And it was A Quiet Place 2 and Cruella, and they both looked like they were doing extremely well at the box office. I know what you're saying though about things like Netflix. I think a few movies debuted. I know a few studios kind of gave up and were tired of waiting around. I know the one that was released, there's Disney Plus, and I lose track of all of them, but the Roald Dahl, The Witches, which was originally an Angelica Houston movie that came out in the early 90s. Dahl hated it. There's a funny story with that, but they remade it with Anne Hathaway, which was originally supposed to go into the theater, but I think they just released it on some streaming, network.
Netflix,
I'm behind the times on this, but they just released it on TV or like some subscription based, streaming network. But I was looking at the box office of A Quiet Place 2 and Cruella. It looks like they were doing worldwide very, very well. I think the movie theater business, just with the theater, will come back. The one that I just saw that I was, kind of blown away by, some guy in an AMC theater bootlegged it. He filmed it with his phone, and he put it up on YouTube. And when Blumhouse and Universal saw it, they were just like, "Screw it, let's just drop the trailer." And this was for the new Halloween movie, Halloween Kills, which is the sequel to the Halloween 2018, which I loved. I thought that movie was just fantastic. It blew me away. And when I watched the trailer for Halloween Kills, I just got to see this thing. It just looked absolutely fantastic. So, is it dead? No, I wouldn't go that far. Maybe it'll take a little longer to come around. I know Halloween Kills was slated for a 2020 release. Of course, that didn't happen because of the pandemic.
Right.
But I'm looking forward to seeing that. And of course, the studios, they're not hurting for money. None of them are. You get into, when it's released on cable or, the Blu-ray or DVD, they make money on that. So, I don't think Hollywood personally is going to be filing, Warner Brothers, Disney. I don't think they'll be filing bankruptcies anytime soon. But, could the method of seeing the movie change or, maybe evolve a little bit? Yeah, I guess it could. The one thing I've noticed on my end, I'm here in Baltimore, is the one thing, this is just, again, me, Rob Sullivan, speaking just from my own experience and just from, being out, is people are anxious to go back. People are wanting to get out of their houses. People are wanting to go on vacation. People are wanting to go back. I was talking to a buddy that I work with, and he said it was just an average Monday. He said he was up at the shopping mall. He said it looked like Christmas Eve. He said it was wall to wall. He couldn't believe it. So I think there is a sense of people kind of wanting to return to a sense of normalcy after this thing. So in my opinion, I think the movie theaters will start filling up again. And like I said, I was looking at the box office for those two movies, and they didn't seem to be hurting, to say the least.
Yeah, but even then, I think the problem I feel, and of course, maybe I'm finally getting too old. The Who was mocking me somewhere in the 60s, but the movies I think are just so shitty. I have not enjoyed any movie. I think the two movies I've liked in the last few years have both have been with Nicolas Cage, of all people. Ironic, right? The goofy 90s actor, and that was Mandy and Color Out of Space. But these movies are just, I feel they're getting worse and worse. It's hard to find good fare. What do you think, Rob?
Yeah, I like...
somebody you get probably... People, you probably have a fan base as like, people who like occultism and Freemasonry. So they're like, check this one out, Rob. So it might be easier for you.
I like some of the movies that have been released of late. I love the two Ari Aster movies, Hereditary and Midsommar. I thought they were very good. I like Joker. I thought that was very good. I like the Halloween 2018. It's a slasher horror movie. It's not anything deep, but I thought it was entertaining. I liked it. I liked the way they kind of played around with, I felt like I was watching like a Mandela Effect movie almost, where you had these bleeding timelines. The Halloween franchise just loves erasing one timeline after another. And then, of course, you have the standalone Halloween 3, which is kind of like in its own universe. And I really liked how the Halloween 18 movie kind of had all these bleeding through. You had Halloween 2, Halloween 4, Halloween 3, kind of like bleeding through. It was like almost like a Mandela Effect movie. I thought that worked with great effect. But it's funny. I always find myself, if I'm just sitting around bored or writing or editing or whatever, and I want to watch a movie, I always do find myself kind of putting on, for whatever reason, like the old Universal horror movies, from the 30s and 40s. I very seldom, I like the modern movies, and I do watch them for when I analyze them, of course. But I always find myself going back to, like, Dracula or The Wolfman or House of Frankenstein or movies like that. Those are ones that always, I guess, just part of my childhood watching them, when I was a kid on, like, Saturday night at 10 o'clock, pre age of video, and this was the only way you could watch them was on, Chiller Theater and things like that. The one in Baltimore was called the Ghost Host. And if you wanted to watch, again, this was pre-video. So if you wanted to watch these old Universal horror movies, this was it. So I always find myself turning back to those. But no, I do like the films of Ari Aster, and I did like the Halloween. And like I said, I am looking forward to seeing the Cruella movie. But that's just my taste. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, as it were.
Yeah. I don't know. I just can't handle them. Something's changed with me, and I see, Rhyme in the chat. What about Parasite? Parasite was pretty good. Again, it's kind of like Joker. It came out right before the world went completely mad and closed down again, and it's a very good class warfare movie, so I enjoyed it. So awesome. And you just talked about occult casting. In our last interview, we did talk about subliminal messaging, social engineering, all that stuff. But what is occult casting, Rob?
Yeah, this is an interesting phenomenon, and this is definitely something that these filmmakers like to do. And I call it occult casting. It's just a term that I coined. I view it now as more of a art of memory mnemonic. That's the way I now view it, and that's where these filmmakers will cast an actor or an actress and place them in a film to conjure another performance, and by doing so, kind of invest the new movie with the vibe of that old movie. We talked about, like I said, the one that stands out like a sore thumb is Robert De Niro in Joker. This is clearly designed to conjure the king of comedy, where he played a Arthur Fleck analog named Rupert Pumpkin, I believe his name was. And it's the same sort of character. He has delusions, being this famous comedian, and he winds up kidnapping the host, which I believe was Jerry Lewis, and holding him hostage. And then, of course, Taxi Driver with the whole, psychological meltdown, which is, of course, Travis Bickle, and this is what Arthur Fleck undergoes. And again, it's one of the movies that stood out to me when I first noticed it was the Max von Sydow casting in Star Wars: The Force Awakens. I guess this is Episode 7, I suppose, where von Sydow just turns up very briefly at the beginning of this movie. And I always kind of thought to myself, well, why did they hire von Sydow for this? They could have put anyone in there. And then it struck me like a ton of bricks. I thought, no, they couldn't have put anyone in there, because this is designed to conjure two other movies that von Sydow was in. And if you've seen The Force Awakens, the movie opens on the desert planet, and von Sydow plays this sort of sadistic, recluse hermit, as it were, and he confronts this dark evil lord, Kylo Ren, and he gets struck down. And the two movies that I immediately jumped into my head, it was, this is a retelling of Dune, where von Sydow plays the hermit character on Arrakis, and he gets struck down by Baron Harkonnen, I think it is. Right. So it's kind of like a transfer, where Kylo Ren now becomes this Baron Harkonnen savage type figure, and von Sydow is again the hermit who gets killed. And of course, the other one is the Exorcist, again in the desert, confronts the evil statue of Pazuzu. And, it's like investing the First Order and Kylo with this evil presence, as it were. And the filmmakers are very good with this. You got De Niro, you got von Sydow, the one, what's the actor's name in The Matrix, in the sequel? What's his name? He played the newscaster in the Omega Man. Its name's escaping me. And he gives the same speech. Yeah, he gives the same speech to Neo that he gives in the Omega Man, only it's reversed. Where he's talking about protecting mankind, and in the Omega Man it's destroying mankind. And I immediately recognized it. I thought, they're
both kind of Luddites. Yeah, they're both characters are Luddites. They want to destroy. They're very wary of technology. Yeah, good point. Good eye. Yeah,
I forget the actor's name. Anthony Zerbe. That's it. It's Anthony Zerbe. He plays Matthias in the Omega Man, and I forget the name of his the character in The Matrix Reloaded. One of the councilman something or another. It escapes me. But the two characters run parallel. And it was clearly designed, like you said, to conjure this Luddite vibe from the Omega Man and put it into the Matrix, at least its sequel. So this is what occult casting is, and it's an interesting study. And like I said, in my opinion, I think when I first started talking about this in the second movie book, and by the time I got finished up the third one, in my opinion, like I said, it kind of evolved on it, where to me, this is really coming out of the world of Hermeticism. I think of Giordano Bruno and Raymond Lully with the art of memory. And that's what this really seems more akin to me, is placing these there. And, it's designed to evoke a memory of some kind. And in this case, what the previous actor's baggage is from another film. And it works quite effectively. At least I think it does.
Yeah, and it must not be easy because, and as you talk in cinema symbolism, you have occult casting, you've got synchromysticism, there could be predictive programming, it could just be trolling from the writers and the direct. Here's an Easter egg. Yeah, so you have always this constellation of wonder of symbols in every movie, and you really can't really pin it down. Like, for example, Stanley Kubrick, there's always something about pedophilia in all of his movies, pretty much, from The Shining to Lolita. But we don't know if he's warning us, if he's mocking us, is he into it? We just have to kind of, as a researcher, right, Rob? You just kind of have to, here's the evidence, and I can't come to a conclusion. Yeah,
it's like it's me being a lawyer. I mean, I present the evidence, and you decide. I view my reader as a jury, and I present the evidence, and I let you decide. I mean, I think that if you watch Lolita, the one movie he hated that he disowned was Spartacus. That was the only movie he disowned. And there is a scene at the beginning of Lolita where the Peter Sellers character, Quilty, mocks it. And I always thought that scene in The Shining where Jack Nicholson has the male porno mag, Playgirl, I always thought that was a tongue-in-cheek mocking of Spartacus by Kubrick, because the one scene that he wanted in, this is the infamous snails and oysters scene between Laurence Olivier and Tony Curtis, this homoerotic scene in Spartacus that was cut out. And I think it irked Kubrick to no end, where Tony Curtis is giving Laurence Olivier a bath in a Roman spa. And he talks about snails and oysters. And you see where the conversation's going, of course. And Tony Curtis is calling Laurence Olivier master through the entire, scene. Yeah. And Kubrick does that. He puts these little tongue-in-cheek, Easter eggs, if you want, in his cinema. I mean, they're all over the damn place. And like you said, it's what is what. I was watching a movie on Blu-ray called Piercing. It was a movie that was released in 2018. It's about sadomasochism. It stars Mia Wasikowska. And it harkens back to this movie she made a few years earlier called Stoker. And she wears this, she has a fetish in this movie for black and white saddle shoes. And when you watch Piercing, here she comes into the room wearing what else but black and white high-heeled shoes. And I thought, here we go again. Here they're harkening back to this other movie that she made. So yeah, I mean, I put it in there and I kind of leave it up to the reader to decide, is it good? Is it evil? Is it manipulation? Is it tongue-in-cheek? Is it mind control? I view myself,
you also mentioned movies that predicted 9/11. You don't leave anything. You say these movies we know predicted 9/11, from Fight Club to The Matrix to so many others. So you do put out, this could easily all be supernatural, Jungian unconscious kind of stuff.
It could be that, or it could be intentional. I mean, there's the one thing, and this is something you'll appreciate, is you do have, and whether you call it synchronicity, the collective unconscious, from about 1997 to about 2002, you have this rash of Gnostic movies released. I mean, this is the ones we always talk about are released from 97 to 02, The Matrix, Truman Show, Vanilla Sky, Existenz,
13th Floor. Yeah, you cover all these.
13th Floor, Donnie Darko. They all come out in this 5-year time frame, and they all reflect 9/11. I don't know why. I don't know what this is about, but each one of those movies in some form or fashion, Vanilla Sky, The Matrix, Donnie Darko, all seem to talk about 9/11. They put it in. I mean, and then you get into the synchronicity of this thing, and this is something else I found out. You get the release of the movies. I mean, Fight Club came out like September 21st, 1999. I mean, this is almost 2 years to the day. The Simpsons episode with Bart where he waves the money in front of the 9/11 magazine. I mean, this is like September 21st, 1997, 2 years earlier. So, I mean, you had this like roadmap going almost right to the date of this thing. Where, you know, this imagery in popular culture, this pre 9/11 imagery is popping up. I don't try to explain it. I just put it in. The most, you know, the one thing I always turn to was the world of Carl Jung. We get into the works of Emanuel Swedenborg, you know, using, you know, dream vision, prophecy, the artistic expression as prophetic, transcendent, as it were. I mean, this comes out of the world of Platonism. So, you know, that's kind of where this path has led me to. Could it be intentional and Hollywood filmmakers are privy to, you know, some sort of secret information? Yeah, of course. I mean, as I mentioned in the book, I mean, you have Yankee Doodle Dandy that was war propaganda. The first couple of the Basil Rathbone, you know, not Universal Sherlock Holmes movies with Nigel Bruce, not the 20th Century Fox ones, but the first ones, couple he made for Universal, they're all war propaganda. The FBI reviewed the scripts of the X-Files. So yeah, I mean, of course, you know, you always got to take that into consideration.
Yeah, and again, you have such a great eyesight. Yes, I agree with you. There was something going on. Maybe it was the change of the millennium. Maybe it was the deep state was bringing down the hammer, and people were just having more gnosis. Maybe we were having a Gnostic awakening, and they had to shut us down with Iraq and 9/11, you know what I mean? The terrible beginning of the shitty beginning of the 21st century, which we haven't recovered in style and music, and it's just been a disaster. But you always bring us some good points, like Donnie Darko, one of the great Gnostic films of all times. I've broken this movie down, and I'm glad you explained perfectly the science of the tangential universe and what Donnie Darko, he's the Gnostic savior with it. But I didn't know. At the Halloween party, his sister Elizabeth, she's dressed as someone from the movie Lolita, which brings a new wrinkle to things.
Yeah, right. She's well. This is again this pedophile theme into this. I mean, for starters, just let me take a quick time out here. If anyone hasn't seen Donnie Darko, it's a fantastic movie. I absolutely love it. I found some parallels with my own life in it, believe it or not, but I'm going to leave that aside. If you have not seen the movie, by all means, watch the director's cut. Get the director's cut, and with the pages from the time book in it that Roberta Sparrow wrote, that will help explain the movie so much more than the theatrical version. If you've seen the theatrical version, you liked it, which I have both of them here. I have both of them on Blu-ray. By all means, I cannot stress it enough. Get the director's cut. It is fantastic. It's a phenomenal movie. I absolutely love it. The character that Maggie Gyllenhaal plays, this is his sister Elizabeth. At the Halloween party, she's dressed as Vivian Darkbloom. This is Quilty. This is Peter Sellers' Hatchet Woman from Lolita. And of course, you just got right off the bat the parallel with the names. I mean, Darkbloom, Darko. And in Donnie Darko, there is a deep pedophilic theme with the Cunningham character. This is the Patrick Swayze, JC, Jesus Christ. I mean, this tells you what Richard Kelly thinks of Christianity. I mean, even when Swayze's introduced in the film, for Christ's sake, he blonde hair, blue eyes in front of the rising sun on the golf course. I mean, do I have to get any more Neoplatonic than that? And then in of course with Lolita, it's all about, I guess the proper word is a hebophile. Probably maybe better than a pedophile. So you have Richard Kelly linking those two movies, Lolita with Kubrick and his film Donnie Darko. The one thing that I picked up on with this with these Hollywood filmmakers today is they love Kubrick. I mean, they love Kubrick. I mean, any chance one of these modern filmmakers gets to pay an homage to Kubrick, I don't know why. I mean, he's a great filmmaker, granted, but they just love paying tribute to Kubrick. And that's one with Richard Kelly with the sister dressed as Vivian Darkbloom in Lolita.
Yeah, what a great coincidence. We've got Robert Sullivan tonight, Cinema Symbolism and AB Live. I hope you are enjoying it. And Vance, do you have any questions from the audience or comments on any Gnostic movies?
Well, we got one question from our friend Mr. Umas, and what's the best movie to watch with Enochian script subtitles?
The best one to watch with Enochian script subtitles, The Witch, with Roger Eggers. The chanting at the end is Enochian. So you want to watch The Witch for Enochian script.
And here's my question. What does Twin Peaks mean?
Yeah, well, this is. I mean, where do you want to start? I mean,
gosh, I've been very much into it.
You know, we could do a whole show on Twin Peaks. I mean,
I know.
I mean, it's such a. I mean, I think Twin Peaks takes up, I don't know how many pages of the book, but I mean that is just such a deep study. I mean, when you're dealing with Lynch, I mean, you're always dealing with duality. I mean, that's the one thing that really, he enjoys more than anything else is duality, doubles. I mean, that's all
or triality, because some of the doubles get another member.
Yeah, I mean, you get that with the Laura Dern character in the Return. I think it's cleaved 3 times, if I recall correctly. Yeah.
Yep. So, what do you think happened to Cooper in the end? At the last part 18 and everything. What year is it? Like, okay, now what? What's your interpretation?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like the demiurge Judy sent Cooper into a parallel dimension of some kind using electricity, which of course has occult significance as well. But it looks like to me that the demiurge, you have, I guess the demiurge would be Judy, the little monkey, the rhesus monkey, I believe it is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then I guess the monad is the fireman, the giant, I suppose. But it looked like the demiurge cast Cooper into an alternative dimension. That's what I got out of it. And again, you have, I believe, at the end, if I recall correctly, the like a bleed through, like a Mandela bleed through, where don't you, when they pan up to the house before Cheryl Lee screams, Laura Palmer screams, don't you hear or see something in the house that triggers?
Oh, it flashes. It flashes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
And it goes dark.
You got like a parallel dimension bleeding through, or the original dimension, I guess it would be in that case. So, I mean, when you're dealing with Lynch, I mean, the one thing that's always consistent is he obfuscates just for the sake of obfuscating. I mean, you can never come up with a complete rational. I mean, I guess in Blue Velvet you can, in The Elephant Man you can, but you get into some of this stuff like Twin Peaks, Lost Highway. I mean, it's impossible to fully piece together what he's going for, and he wants it.
Yeah, multiple solutions.
But I think we can say we've always suspected. But in episode 8, he does reveal his Gnosticism, because that's a complete Gnostic cosmology from the secret book of John, right? Right.
I mean, you've got that. I think it's called God of Light, and this is where you have, when you look at the TV show that aired on ABC and even Firewalk with Me. I mean, you have this great alchemical storyline. So it's not surprising that he goes this Gnostic theme, because, I mean, of course, the alchemists all took their ideas from the Gnostics, where you have, I mean, the monad is the fireman. You have him emanating Sophia, which is, Laura.
Laura.
Yeah, I mean, you have, Cooper is sort of the Gnostic Christ. You have the firemen, what is it, the bums, the street people as the archons. And I thought it was interesting, because I thought that it's interesting that he has the bums as the archons, because I thought, I thought back to Mulholland Drive. I thought, we have the bum behind Rukies.
The dumpster,
Is this an archon terrorizing Diane? I kind of, is Lynch trying to link the two universes, as it were? Which is another thing these filmmakers like to do. So, yeah, I mean, you do get, with that one episode of Twin Peaks: The Return, you finally get Lynch revealing the Gnostic cosmology behind Twin Peaks. I like the episode. I thought it was very good. I mean, what is it where Bob, I guess is sort of the chief archon, gets emanated from the nuclear blast?
Yes.
Good stuff there.
Yeah, Jude throws him up in the stream of garbage with all the eggs and the frog moth. Yeah. What do you think of the frog moth? What does the frog moth represent?
What was it? You have to refresh my memory.
Remember the kind of bug? It was a half of a frog in the back, and it was like a bug with wings in the front, and it was crawled across the desert. And
is this the thing that gets into the mother? Is this the thing that gets into the mother?
Yes, yeah. Crawls into her mouth when she's a little girl. Yeah.
I guess it's that the mother is some sort of host to some sort of space creature, archon monster of some kind. Strange.
Yep. Oh boy.
Yeah, and Lynch is so dualistic. He's straight out of money. I mean, every character is either on the side of light or completely on the side of darkness. There's no.
Of course, he blends them like a Jungian thing too, because the Cooper in the end, and at the end of The Return, he was kind of a blend between Mr. C and the old, vanilla Cooper, who was, the young one. He's kind of became realistic, quote unquote. He kind of integrated the two pieces.
Jung's individuation.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. All right. God, there's so many cool Gnostic films we could talk about. It almost seems we should have you on more than once, but why don't we get daring here? I'm going to first ask Rob, then I guess I'll ask Van so he has time to prepare. What would you say are the top 5 Gnostic movies, Rob? Your favorite or most influential? And again, I agree with all your movies, whether it's Metropolis, very Gnostic, Alice in Wonderland, classic Gnostic, Wizard of Oz. Vance has written articles on this, but what would you say for you? I'm going to assume Donnie Darko has to be there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for me, the number one, if you just wanted me to get into Gnostic movies and ones that I like, I guess for me, the king of all the Gnostic films, has to be The Matrix, the very first one. I guess from a Gnostic standpoint, especially from a Valentinus standpoint, that's got everything in it that you're looking for. I love Fight Club. I think that would be maybe 1A up there. Of course, Donnie Darko would be up there. Metropolis, I think, has a lot of Gnostic overtones. I'm a fan of that movie. I always the other one that's up there. I like Dark City. I think that's an excellent movie for Gnosticism, and that actually is interesting because that actually uses the same set, some of them from The Matrix. The rooftop,
wow.
and the hotel. It's the same set from The Matrix. So I guess for me, number 1 and number 2 would be The Matrix and Fight Club. But there's so many good ones. Donnie Darko would be up there also. There's so many good ones, and those are always great movies to analyze. I think people really like them because it always involves a awakening to conscious and an identification of selfhood. And I think that resonates. I think that resonates with audiences.
Yeah, and because they're really documentaries too. I think people like documentaries. And speaking of Dark City, was it Alex Proyas? He obviously directed The Crow, I, Robot. So he's knowing. So I was wondering. Yeah, we don't know anything about him except he was born in Alexandria, Egypt. So a Greek guy born in Alexandria, Egypt, was probably soaking in those ancient mysteries. So interesting to put that in. Well, Vance, what about you? Top 5 Gnostic movies that you
Okay. Well, Robert mentioned some of my favorites, so I'll mention some of the other ones he didn't, which is, I'm going to go way, way back. Forbidden Planet, which is a wonderful, wonderful movie based on Shakespeare's The Tempest, the inner knowing, know thyself, right? Mother, we haven't mentioned Mother yet. Mother, fantastic. I love, there's so much symbolism in that. It's like a giant brain, right? And Constantine, I thought just Constantine was just very cool, with the corrupt angel. That was, hey, what more do you want for an archon, right? Tilda Swinton, the fantastic Tilda Swinton. Devil's Advocate, I like Devil's Advocate. That was very, very, very good. The Fountain, of course, got to mention The Fountain.
Yeah, I was going to mention too. I'm sure all of us agree that if you want to talk about who's the most Gnostic director, we could talk Lynch, but Aronofsky's got to be the most Gnostic. Every one of his movies is Gnostic.
Lynch.
Go ahead.
Lynch isn't intentionally Gnostic, but I think Aronofsky might be. Lynch is just out there, He's
Well, yeah, I mean,
dragging it up from the TM depths of the well. This is the water, and this is the well. I do
and,
TM, and I bring it up swell.
and Vance is absolutely correct. I mean, Mother, from a Gnostic standpoint, again, is one of those movies. You clearly have the demiurge and Sophia identified. And it's very symbolic movie.
I would say so too, and an excellent movie as well. Any other questions from the audience, Vance?
Well, let's see. Somebody wanted to talk about Spaceballs. That falls under the Star Wars. So anything you say for Star Wars, just turn it upside down. That's Spaceballs.
Yeah,
but they did have a good section of Spaceballs where my favorite part of it is where they want to find out what's going to happen in the future, so they pop in Spaceballs, right, the movie, into the VHS. They fast forward it, and all of a sudden they see themselves. That was
Mel Brooks has no problem breaking down the fourth wall or deconstructing his own movie.
That was good.
So, yeah.
Some people are saying The Never-Ending Story. Somebody mentioned that as and people like Dark City. I don't see a lot of questions. What did I miss? Yeah, I don't see anything right now.
Awesome. Well, I know I've got plenty, and of course, as you argue, Rob, the Star Wars universe might be just a simulation inside the Matrix, right?
Well, that's right. Yeah. You've got that scene in at the beginning of Attack of the Clones, where you have you have all the actors from the Matrix turning up. The woman in red and Mouse right there, and you have the what is it? The red drink and the blue drink or whatever it is. So yeah, I mean, I thought that was kind of interesting. As Luke is trying to tell us this is all a false simulation, Star Wars a false reality. Interesting.
It is.
And Vanilla Sky, of course, talk about it's not quite the simulation, but I don't want to do any spoilers.
Well, no, that's got one of the ultimate 9/11 again images in it at the very end, where he jumps off the building in front of the World Trade Centers. For God's sakes,
yeah.
I mean, you can't help but think of there's people falling off, and I mean, again, that's one of those false reality movies. What's real, what isn't. And I like that movie. I always thought, it is kind of a depressing movie, downer.
Yeah.
Where, it's kind of like the one with Christopher Reeve, the one where he's
Somewhere in Time.
Somewhere in Time. Bid Time Return was the novel. Yeah. Good movie. Kind of a downer though. So
Looney Tunes predicted 9/11. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but my son's into watching Looney Tunes. He's been buying all sorts of DVDs, and in one of the Looney Tunes, I think it's Bugs Bunny, says, "The towers, they're falling, and it's about New York. It's in New York, and it was during World War II or something. And the towers didn't even exist, but he was saying the towers, they're falling.
Oh yeah, you could go back in time and find some really strange ones. I mean, there's the scene in Escape from New York where they're flying the plane into Lower Manhattan. That's one, and then there's the one I was just watching the other day. I mean, it's kind of a bit of a stretch, but still kind of interesting. Is Ghostbusters, where all the phantoms escape from the ecto containment system, and they come swirling up, and you see the New York skyline with all the ghosts swirling around the Twin Towers from, see it from Sigourney Weaver's standpoint. I thought that was always a little interesting. So yeah, I mean, you can go back in time with it. That's for certain. It gets escalated though as it gets closer to the event. That's irrefutable.
I have my own theory about the towers. I don't know if you've ever heard this one. I think it might have been a magical event because in the 90s, there was a thing called Microsoft Flight Simulator. And it was very groundbreaking, and they had a New York City skyline. It was rather primitive, but you could recognize the buildings, including the Twin Towers. And one of the most favorite things people would do is they would fly into the towers with the plane in Microsoft Simulator.
Yeah, that's crazy.
If enough people did that.
You had the other one with the X-Files, which was the same year. It was like March of 2001.
Yeah, it was that year. Yeah.
The lone gunman. Where the plane is hijacked and they were going to fly it into the World Trade Centers, and I like and then the Patriot from 2000 with Mel Gibson, where he makes the chair And it's at the very beginning of the movie, and it weighs 9 pounds 11 ounces, and he sits in it and it comes crumbling down. So take your pick. There's loads of them.
Yeah, it's an archetype, some sort of thing that print through on the tape of the simulation.
Yeah, and we were talking about the movie Parasite. Of course, if we're talking about Gnostic movies, we have to mention Snowpiercer.
Oh, cool.
It's not even that's so overtly Gnostic, and of course, Ed Harris again plays the demiurge in the Truman Show, and Snowpiercer, and in Westworld. So, like I say, whoever has Ed Harris's agent must work for the Archons because he gets that same role.
The occult casting.
Yeah, they downgraded him to Adam in Mother. So
yes, you're right. You're correct. Yeah. Adam's such a loser in these Gnostic tales. We should, of course, mention the Lego movie. That's another classic. And all these movies are dealt with very well, fascinating in your book. But what about, what genre would you consider? Oh, wait, Blade Runner 2, and Rob does a great job with Blade Runner 2049. But Pan's Labyrinth, Rob, what would you consider it? Categorize it as?
Well, that's like Del Toro, who is also expert with this stuff. That's his fairy tale. I see it as it's like an archetypal, fairy tale. I mean, you've got the ogre father. You've got the little girl who is obviously, an Alice in Wonderland analog. And I thought that movie was fantastic. There's the number 3 is all over the place in that, and that has to do with what's known as the rule of 3, which you'll find all over the place in fairy tales. And there was a movie, they just did one that came out. I think it was in 19, maybe it may have been 18. I think they reversed it. It was called was it Hansel and Gretel? It was Gretel and Hansel, and that movie uses the rule of 3 all over the place. And I liked, who doesn't love Pan's Labyrinth? I mean, that's a great film, taking place in the Nazi Spain. Good stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Stigmata is worth mention, right? Stigmata with the Gospel of Thomas, featuring sort of.
Yeah. I mean,
and then you get with that one. I mean, again, these filmmakers draw from a lot of source material. When the little girl, Ophelia, dies at the end and goes to the magical realm. I mean, she has the red shoes on again. This is the Alice in Wonderland, the Wizard of Oz, analogy going on. So, Pan's Labyrinth, fantastic movie.
Yeah, I would agree too. And probably none of his movies after that have that impressed me, believe it or not, whether it's, was it Red, what's the name of that movie? Red, oh my God, Crimson Tide. I thought it was okay. Crimson Peak. Yeah, Crimson Tide, that's like the action movie. No, Crimson Peak was okay. Hellboy was okay. But I think The Shape of Water, he definitely seems to have catch it.
I liked
Pacific Rim. I love Pacific Rim, and the kids love it because it's
I like Crimson Peak. That's a remake of The Shining. The parallel between those movies is astounding. I like The Shape of Water in Baltimore, and that, of course, is set in Baltimore. And there's some interesting things going on. I think meant maybe for only people from Baltimore would pick up on. That movie runs parallel with a movie made by John Waters called Hairspray. And I'm not talking about the musical one, the original one from like the 80s. They're set in the exact same time frame, those two movies. And that was a little interesting nod that I thought with John Waters there. But no, I like Del Toro. I like his films. I think he's pretty good. I like Pan's Labyrinth. I like Crimson Peak. I like Shape of Water. I thought Hellboy was okay. I never saw Pacific Rim, but I'll have to definitely check it out.
Not much of a plot, but the action and cinematography are incredible. Definitely a great homage and reboot of the whole mecha thing. All right. Well, right now I'd like to take a break and actually show you guys, you audience, a video from a very exciting artist. Her name is Rhyme. She is exploding, up and coming. And she is definitely influenced by Gnosticism and has created a very Gnostic video. Rhyme is in her own lane. She encompasses an eclectic but curated genre of herself as a 60s poet, vocalist, producer, DJ, model, saxophone, and Japanese koto player and performer. Rhyme defines her atmosphere creatively. She is a muse. Rhyme is currently based in Tokyo, Japan, where she studies the history, language, and Gnosticism from an ancient perspective, including New Age Soka Gakkai teachings from Daisaku Ikeda. So I want to play her video, Ya, and then we'll get back. But I'm very excited about her work, and I really wanted to share it with you. So let's listen to Rhyme, and I know when you see the visuals, you'll understand how you'll see the whole Gnostic cosmology and story in this video, this music video. So we'll be right back after this.
You are just here. You are just here. You are just here. Just here. Yeah.
Wish it to push. What nuts they doing? I'm doing. How much can this person seduce? Yeah, I do so. Yeah, how can you convince me? Yeah, am I convincing? Am I convincing? Yeah, is I'm convincing? Yeah, you are just here. Yeah.
All right. Well, that was Rhyme. Love that music, love the visuals, and I'm sure a lot of you caught the whole Gnostic cosmology and Jungian forces in it. For those of you who might be listening to the audio version when it comes out, I highly suggest you check out Rhyme's YouTube channel with the visuals because it's very visceral, very symbolic, and very powerful. Let's see, where is it? Screen sharing, where is it? Okay, does this thing work? Because I want to show you guys quickly where it is. Screen 2, share, and here's our YouTube channel. Does everybody see it? Vance, do you see it?
Yes, I see it. It's pretty clear. Whoa!
Yeah, I know we're doing the mirrors. But this is Rhyme's YouTube channel, so check it out. It's unfortunately it's got all the numbers and all that, but check out her music. All her videos are incredible, very evocative, very provocative, and very symbolical. So thought we'd get a break from that one. Whoa, what am I doing here? I'm all over the place. Excuse me, I'm all over the place. But we are back with Robert Sullivan to discuss Cinema Symbolism. And for movies, Rob, I also too thought I'm one of those people who really like Midsommar. And again, your chapter is exhaustive. I know a lot of people hated it, but for some reason it struck me just perfectly. But what is your top or just quick thoughts on Midsommar? Why do you think it's such a powerful movie?
Oh, I liked it very much. I'm a fan of both his movies, Hereditary also. I think it works. Yeah, I mean, I think it works on many levels. I mean, clearly when you watch Midsommar, the first thing that jumps into your head, at least for me, was The Wicker Man with Christopher Lee. I mean, you have parallels all over the place between those two movies. I mean, they both end with a Christian being burnt alive in a giant wooden structure of some kind. A wicker man in the one and a pyramid in this one in Midsommar. But Astor's really good. He loves foreshadowing. I mean, there's a lot of that movie, both those movies, Hereditary also, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of foreshadowing. There's a lot of kind of undercurrents going on with Midsommar. I loved it. I thought it was a fantastic movie. We were talking before the show. I said one of the things that makes it so exhaustive is and you know where I'm going with this, is you watch the movie and then you analyze it, and then you got to go back and start it all over again because you have to analyze the runes, the elder and younger Futhark, because each one of those is strategically placed. They all have meaning. They're there for a reason, so you have to then break them down. The addition of Midsommar definitely slowed the publication of the book down, but I was so impressed with the film, I just had to include it. And again, you have references all over the place to this thing. I mean, you have a little homage to The Shining in it with the
Kubrick. Everybody's got to put their Kubrick in, right?
Yeah, I mean, with the blanket that Danny uses in the bunkhouse is the carpet from the Overlook Hotel. And then you've got the allusion to the Wizard of Oz with Danny being, that's Florence Pugh, being the Dorothy figure, and the three male characters being sort of negative versions of the three travelers that that Dorothy meets. You have the one guy who gets the scarecrow, gets wound up stuffed with straw, Mark, who's the fool. Then you've got Josh, who's the scholar, who's heartless, so he's the Tin Man. And then you've got Christian, who's the coward, the moral coward, so he's the Cowardly Lion. So you have the whole Wizard of Oz undercurrent going on with Midsommar. A very complex movie. I loved it. I thought it was great. I love both of his. And I really look forward to seeing what he comes up with next. I'm sure it'll be very dark. That I have no doubt about.
Yeah. It's almost like if you are able to look at the runes and the drawings, you can figure out the end of the movie halfway through the movie. It's like he just lets it all out there. So. I mean, and again, you pick up on, I mean, the whole thing with the Wicker Man with Lee. I mean, that definitely plays into it. Yeah. And again, I know a lot of people really hated it, but to me, it was just an excellent movie. And here's another, you might say, I don't want to call this a curveball, Rob, but you could call it a curveball. But no. But who are some of your favorite Sophia characters in Gnostic film or even beyond Gnostic film? Obviously, you do mention them throughout your book, so I think it's not like I'm catching you by surprise.
No. I liked. I always liked Trinity, of course, in the Matrix. We go with Jennifer Lawrence. How about in Mother? Yeah, of course, you can't go wrong with that one. I liked. What's the other one? Oh, of course, the one Penelope Cruz. Come on, in Vanilla Sky, Sophia herself. I mean, that's the name of the character. Can't go wrong with that. She was in
two movies, the same character. Open Your Eyes was a Spanish version. Yeah,
right. It's a remake.
Sophia in both of them. Yeah,
absolutely. And you can't go wrong with those. I'd say those would be my favorite.
Yeah, I think another one, of course, Marla in Fight Club. She helps wake up the protagonists. Sylvia and Truman Show,
Sure.
Evie and V for Vendetta, and of course
Lucy.
Lilu.
Oh, Lucy and Lucy. Whatchamacallit? Oh gosh, the movie Lucy.
Oh, Lucy, yeah, with Black Widow.
Scarlett Johansson. Yeah, Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah,
I never
I was
saw
gonna
that one.
say,
Oh,
you gotta
see
Lilo in
it.
Fifth Element, but yeah, Lucy.
She
would
fell
then,
and rose. Yeah.
And then also you kind of have Sophia split in half with Blue Velvet. We have Dorothy and Sandy, who bring Jeffrey to light, as it were.
Yep, that is true. Those are some good Sophianic characters, as far as I'm concerned. And what did you think of Blade Runner 2049? I mean, I thought it was a good movie, but I still think it's unnecessary. I think it's one of those unnecessary sequels. But
yeah, I'm with you. I liked it. I mean, I thought it was a good movie, but it's like, what's kind of the point of this? But I did like it. I mean, and I was a fan of the first Blade Runner, so I was anxious to see the second one. But yeah, I mean, I liked it. I didn't dislike it. I didn't, walk away from it thinking, "Oh, this sucks" or anything. But I liked it. I like the one thing that was kind of cool. I thought was, and I'll tell a quick story on this, was the whole thing with Peter and the Wolf, with with the sound cord, which is Peter's sound cord that associates with Neander. And of course, that has symbolic meaning. Of course, that has to do with him trying to master nature. Just as in the story, Peter is trying to take control of the wolf. I believe it's the strings. Peter gets the strings. So you always hear that string little chords whenever the jingle. It's the jingle for Neander's company. If you want to see this play out again in another movie, you can see this every 24th of December. Every time Christmas Eve rolls around, TNT and TBS roll A Christmas Story, and it runs 24 hours a day. Every time Scott Fargus appears on screen, you get the horn of the wolf from Peter and the Wolf. So when you watch A Christmas Story, when Scott Fargus appears on screen, you're going to get the wolf's horn. And of course, this is apropos because he's bullying the three kids, Ralphie and his two friends. And believe it or not, Fargus actually means wolf in Hungarian. So I thought that was a neat little thing that you'll find out in the Christmas Story. And of course, this is echoed in Blade Runner 2049 with the Peter and the Wolf strings, which is Neander's calling card, as it were.
Very cool, very cool. And are you having interested in the fourth Matrix movie coming out? I think this year. Of course.
Yeah, I look forward to it. I haven't seen any promotion for it whatsoever, but yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see how they're going to do this. I mean, I guess at some point, what is Neo going to be resurrected? I mean, I guess kind of that's really the only thing they can. Yeah, I mean, that's not only is it apropos, but it's kind of the only thing they can do with him, I would think.
He's coming back as an agent.
No, they could have him come back as an Archon. That'd be a good idea.
Yeah, turn evil.
Yeah, but no, I haven't seen any promotional material for the next Matrix movie. I don't even know, does it have like a subtitle? I mean, or the one was The Matrix Reloaded, The Matrix Revolution. Is this like The Matrix Rebooted or something like that? I don't know.
The Matrix Retreaded.
Yeah, The Matrix Retreaded. Probably.
The Matrix on a walker or something like that. Yeah, I haven't heard anything either, so that is kind of strange. I'm not expecting much. I don't care, but for me, it's a great place to take movie quotes for the show. So I'm sure it'll be full of philosophical fare and all that good stuff. So
are the Wachowski sisters or siblings doing it, or is it someone else? I don't even know that.
I think it's one, Lana. I think it's only one.
Oh, really?
But, yeah. There's definitely what they are definitely involved. At least one of the sisters. So you couldn't have it any other way.
Of course, no. Yeah, how could you have you can't do a Matrix movie without one of them? Come on.
Yeah, who's the director of the Star Wars Episode 7? What's the name of that director?
Was that
also Star Trek? He did the Star Trek movie.
Which one's 7? That's the Force Awakens. Is that
Yeah,
7?
yeah.
Yeah, I can't
And I
remember.
forget the name of the director. Yeah, he's just he's ruined Star Wars. He's ruined Star Trek. I'm sure if they had put him in the Matrix, he could ruin that too.
Sounds
Yeah.
like M. Night Shyamalan. Give it to him, yeah. He can
God, I
ruin
can't
anything.
believe I can't believe I'm forgetting. And it is interesting too with some of the Marvel movies, especially TV like Loki and WandaVision, taking very Gnostic turns. So that's it. J.J. Abrams. Thank you, Eric.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
J.J.
Oh,
Abrams.
yeah. Right.
Yeah. But he's just again, he's ruined Star Wars, he's ruined Star Trek. I don't know what else. I think they'll ruin Indiana Jones next, which I believe they're going to do. But again, that's my problem with Hollywood too, Rob. It's these unnecessary reboots and reconfiguring of movies. It's like we don't need to see Harrison Ford in his late 70s running around with a whip and a hat. It's just, let it just stop.
I agree, and I guess Hollywood does get like hard up for ideas. I mean, I don't know, but it's like I heard a rumor, and this got ixnayed pretty quickly. I heard a rumor they were actually going to consider remaking The Exorcist. And it's like, no, don't.
No,
you
cannot.
Just stop. You
That's
cannot.
a perfect movie.
Yeah, do not touch that movie. You tried remaking The Omen, and it didn't work. You made a frame-by-frame remake of Psycho, which sucks. Do not touch The Exorcist, please. If you want me, wherever the petition is, I'll sign it gladly. Do not touch The Exorcist.
Yes, I agree with you. I mean, that movie still stands the test of time. We've talked about it in the past. It's just incredible. One of the most occult, MK Ultra. I mean, that movie has it all, and it changed human consciousness, the history of movies, and it's incredible. And I also agree with you. I think one of the most underrated horror films, one would have to be Phantasm, very Gnostic. The other one is Halloween 3. I still think is very underrated. And to me, it's the scariest of them all because of what happens. They kill all the children.
Yeah, I mean, the Halloween 3 is great. I mean, I remember when that came out, I was a kid, and I remember people hated it. And, because it didn't have Michael Myers in it. It was just sort of like this alternate dimension Halloween where Michael Myers appears in it, but it's a TV commercial where in this dimension or this reality, Halloween is a movie. And I always thought it was a great film. I remember watching it as a kid, and I thought, God, why, I couldn't think of a reason not to like it. And you're absolutely right. I mean, the Conal Cochran character is as good or better than any James Bond villain ever was. I mean, he gets away with his plan. I mean, I just love the Tom Atkins character. I mean, it's kind of like the reversed archetype. I mean, it's, the hero spends the whole movie smoking, drinking, and hiding from his ex-wife and kids. And I just thought that was fantastic. I mean, it's a great, he's like an anti-hero almost. And I just love the whole idea of Irish Halloween witchcraft, stealing Stonehenge, to blow kids' heads up mess. I mean, it's a great story. And I love the fact that they're incorporating this finally into the this new reboot with the 2018 Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. And I guess I'm going to go out, if you watch Halloween 18, you'll see the trick-or-treaters with the silver shamrock masks on. If you see the trailer for Halloween Kills, you'll see the masks again. And these actually have the little silver shamrock, trademarks on the back of them. So we know we're dealing with the Conal Cochran, jinxed masks, as it were. And I actually was talking to a friend of mine. I said, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I said, if you watch Halloween 18, this is where they kind of erased all the other storylines, and Michael Myers escapes and he's stalking Laurie. Now we have the sequel to that, which is Halloween Kills. This is where Michael gets out of the burning building. I said, we got one more movie in this, which is called Halloween Ends. And I said, I'm going to speculate here a little bit. I said, I'm going to dare say it. I mean, in this Halloween Ends movie, I mean, could we see a reinvention of Conal Cochran? Could we see the big giveaway again? Maybe Michael Myers is killed off, and all of a sudden the story shifts to the Silver Shamrock Novelties factory. Could we see something like that? I think we could. I think when this is going to end, I think we're going to have an appearance by Conal Cochran, and I think we're going to see the big giveaway end, and I think we're going to see these kids' heads explode. It's hinted at in Halloween 3, but I think we're going to see something much more gruesome in this next movie.
Well, Well, I might have to check out the 2018 one. I don't know why I missed it, but and Vance, any questions? And I'm surprised you didn't bring up. We were talking about Gnostic themes in like Marvel, and I mentioned obviously Loki and WandaVision. You didn't mention Doctor Strange.
Oh, well, it's kind of faded. There is a new Doctor Strange movie supposedly coming out. It's been delayed and so forth. But yeah, I've got a copy sitting on my mantelpiece, but it's been so long, But you're right. What do you think, Robert? Doctor
Well, I'm going to say
Strange.
something since this is Aeon Byte and this is a heretical podcast. I'm going to say
Go
something.
for it.
Yeah, I'm going to say something completely heretical. I am no fan of Marvel, and I have not ever watched one Marvel movie.
You're not missing it. You're really not missing it. It's nothing that's going to change your life.
I guess that's somewhat sacrilegious. I mean, when I was a kid growing up, I was a huge fan of DC. I watched Batman. I watched, I was Superman, even the Wonder Woman show with Linda Carter. My only exposure to Marvel was the old Hulk movie or TV show with Lou Ferrigno and Bill Bixby, which I did enjoy. For whatever reason, and don't ask me why, I never got into Marvel. I never watched the X-Men. I never got into Spider-Man. I never got into Doctor Strange. I just never got into it. I'm not putting it down. I'm not saying it's no good. It just never held an interest for me. I've never seen any of the movies, any of the Spider-Man, any of the Avengers, none of it. And, I really couldn't comment on it.
Doctor Strange is a standout among any of the other Marvels. It's way different. That's why it's been shoved to the background. So it is the heretical entry of the Marvel universe. I was thrilled by it, and I'm not easily. I liked the Avengers, I have to say. A lot of the movies, but I didn't like Captain America that much. But I would recommend it. Yeah, give it a try.
Yeah, I'll have to check it. It's just a slate of movies and a universe. It's just something I've never been able to get into. So
very spiritual. It's very spiritual, which is not like the other ones.
Yeah. The other ones are almost atheistic if you think about it. But yeah, Doctor Strange is very, very different. So we'll see what they do with the next one. I could take or leave them. It's just with my kids, we always have to watch them.
Yeah,
if they come out. It's very important to them to an extent.
Action movies, thriller, action, sci-fi. But it is sci-fi. So many movies are just horror movies. All right, look, a sci-fi, and then you watch it. It's another horror movie, Oh, yeah, they have a meter or some sort of blinking light, and then it's a horror movie. That's not science fiction. But, Marvel is a highly science fiction, if you like science fiction. It's not spiritual at all. It's not symbolic at all. It's just the heroes and villains, kind of thing, but not Doctor Strange.
I was always just drawn to the DC characters, much more than the Marvel stuff. Me personally, I guess.
Yeah, I grew up with those. I like the bottle of Candor. That was pretty cool.
I like the Frank Miller series, that's for sure.
Oh yeah.
And for graphic novels, and of course that's Man of Steel. No, I think Man of Steel is based more on John Byrne's Superman.
Even Superman got sour over the years, don't you think? I mean, as they ran out of regular plots, they had the Superman dies, Superman turns evil, all these different things. They just every possible thing that they think of doing. The Batman versus Superman, I refuse to see that one.
Greatest Superman movie ever made, Superman 2. I mean, you cannot go wrong with Ken Bozai and Terrence Stamp. I mean, that is just, the height of 80s kitsch. And I mean, you just can't go wrong with that one.
And I think the director died recently, right, Rob?
Was it Richard Donner? Yeah, I think he did. Yeah.
He passed away a few days ago. But yeah, Superman 2 will always be the best Superman.
Oh, I love that movie.
Nothing can touch it. Nothing can touch it. So I would agree. What about Batman movie?
Oh, I love the Chris Nolan ones. I mean, Batman Begins, Dark Knight Returns. I mean, I think those are sort of the best ones I've ever seen. I mean, the Tim Burton, Joel Schumacher ones are completely dated. The one with Nicholson is still kind of fun to watch, but it doesn't hold up. And the one with Val Kilmer, is really kind of like, it reminds me of really like what a comic, really, I feel like I'm watching a comic book with that one, but it's lightweight. I mean, the one with Michelle Pfeiffer and Danny DeVito, I like it, but it's strange. It's more of a dark fairy tale, and the one with George Clooney just is revolting. I won't even waste anyone's time discussing that. The best ones are the ones, the Nolan ones, and I'm looking forward to this new one that they're making called The Batman. This features the Riddler, I think, and this looks like it's going to draw on, from the little bit I've seen on a lot of the comic mythology with like the Court of Owls, which is sort of the Illuminati that runs Gotham City. So that should be pretty interesting. So I'm looking forward to that one. And
you see, as we talk, Joker is sort of the trickster archetype, the rebel. In ancient times, the jester was the one person who could make fun of the king. I mean, There's so much. The Joker is so multi-dimensional. That's why it's borne so much fruit. But what about Batman? As you say, Batman is based on Zorro, the vigilante. But some have said Batman is just a symbol for fascism because he does what he wants and he kind of gets government and private business. I mean, the Nolan Batman is pretty close to a fascist. I mean, he's got the surveillance and everything. Sure. But what do you think Batman stands for?
Well, you've got the whole idea of like the shadow self, and it's the shadow of Bruce Wayne is what Batman is, but it's the whole idea of the daemon, the higher self, as it were. Bruce Wayne is always, it's kind of like the Dr. Watson character played by Nigel Bruce. Wayne was always like kind of like the bumbling idiot, the playboy, but then Batman was the adroit crime fighter, the genius, the guy who could solve all the crimes. But yeah, I liked the one Batman movie, which was the Dent Act, which was clearly meant to parody the Patriot Act, where they were spying on everybody. And, I think that's in the, which one is that? Is that Batman, the Dark Knight Rises? Is that, oh no, it's the one with the Joker. That's the Dark Knight. That's the one, because that's how he catches him. He picks on where he's hiding in the building. So yeah, I mean, I always loved the Batman stuff. And the Batman universe, he always had the best villains at any rate. At least I thought so. And to me, the Chris Nolan trilogy are the best ones. I'm glad that they kind of ended it with that, and that if they're going to do new Batman movies, that they're going to just start it over, because I think the one that Matt Reeves is doing, it's called The Batman. This is going to be more, from what I could tell of it, is kind of the ones with Nolan took place in the modern world. With the technology, I think the Batman with Matt Reeves is going to be more of like the Gothic, sort of, more, 1940s vibe, as it were. But we'll see.
Noir Batman.
yeah, exactly.
Like the cartoons. So awesome. Well, as we get towards the end, Vance, any last questions from the audience or from yourself or comments?
Don't see any. And
everybody's chilling on a Thursday night.
Well, maybe I can have one last crack at it. How about Prince of Darkness by John Carpenter? That had such a vibe when I saw that, the first few times.
I like that movie. I thought it was a great film. A little strange, a little disoriented.
Definitely.
Kind of hard to piece together, but I did like it. I always felt like with Carpenter, he tries to venture out into other things, and he doesn't really. They come off as a little flat. I mean, the one that always sticks with me. I like the movie, and I think this was one again. I think they were planning on remaking, and I don't know if they are or not. I like Big Trouble in Little China. I always thought.
Oh yeah, that's good.
But he's definitely trying to emulate the Shaw Brothers kung fu movies, and he can't put it together. When you watch those kung fu movies from the 80s, coming out of those Korean studios, or those, I mean, they have a feel to them of their own, where the guys speak and the dialogues come out 10 minutes later, and they move their arms, and the crazy sound effects, and the voices are always these English drunk guys, who are over exaggerating it. And he's trying to get that vibe in Big Trouble, and it just fails completely. But it's an entertaining movie anyway. And I kind of felt that way with The Prince of Darkness. I thought he was trying to go for sort of this demonic, satanic vibe, and, the devil being kept in a petri jar, I don't know. I didn't really resonate with me.
Oh no,
But
he's in the basement. He's got that big green tank. It starts leaking. It's like everybody's plumbing nightmare. It's probably based on a plumbing problem.
Listen. The one thing I'll say about Carpenter, and I say this about any movie, is the worst offense a movie can be, in my opinion, at any rate, is to be boring or dull. Carpenter's movies are not that. They're very entertaining, to say the least. So, no, I'm a fan of Carpenter, and I love the original Halloween. That's just such a classic. That is the immortal classic, as it were. But no, I'm a huge John Carpenter fan. I'm glad that when they did this new string of Halloween movies, they got him involved with it because, if you haven't, Miguel, seen the Halloween 18, by all means, watch it. It's worth it.
I want to. Yeah. And of course, Carpenter. Nobody does Lovecraft better than Carpenter with The Thing and In the Mouth of Madness.
The Thing,
He gave us the great Gnostic documentary, They Live, Escape from New York.
They Live.
They Live.
Yeah, he's just he's one of the great masters of Gnosis.
How do we leave out They Live? Good God, the Gnostic, mistakenly Illuminati movie with They Live. Great. That's a great one, though. And any movie. Any movie that has Roddy Piper in it, can't go wrong.
Rest his soul. Yeah. Awesome. Well, this has been really an incredible conversation. A couple of notes before we sign off into the Kenoma. But please don't forget, I am offering my voiceover services. If you need any audiobook, commercial, podcast, I've already worked on many books this year, and it's going really well. Going so well that I'm actually leaving very soon my day consulting job. So I'm making the plunge. So please support Aeon Byte. Subscribe. If you need any work, let me know, because as I take the plunge into full-time heretic, of course, I'm going to up the ante with the heresy with different shows and bonuses and all that. So big change in my life, big move away. After all these years, I realized that as a marketer, I was working for the Archons. I was a professional liar, loved the money, but I decided it's time to really, as Joseph Campbell said, follow my bliss. So don't forget the Finding Hermes program, where is an upgrade from being a subscriber, where you basically you will be part of an exclusive Q&A monthly, an exclusive presentation with either I or some great guests will show you the mysteries of Gnostic practices, philosophy, and other things. We've had some great presentation on Gnostic sex rites, Gnostic meditation, the rituals of several groups like the Valentinians, presentations on Mary Magdalene, presentations on the Gnostics using entheogens. So consider Finding Hermes. It's just a little bit more of an upgrade in Patreon or an AB Prime. Don't forget, now I've got the Red Circle option where you can just get this really cool RSS feed. That's what some of you like. It's simple. It works. It's cheaper than AB Prime or Patreon. But all these things will be on the show notes. And one last thing, too, they're talking about it. For non-subscribers, I will start putting commercials at the end of the show. I thought it'd be a compromise, needed an extra revenue stream. I don't want to put commercials even in normal shows at the beginning or the middle to break up the flow, but I will have commercials at the end. So give it a listen. So it supports this show. But of course, for subscribers, AB Prime, Patreon, Red Circle, Rockfin, whatever, you're never going to listen to commercials. And I really appreciate your support. The show has grown, keeps growing. 2021 is already the best year. The support has been incredible, and I am so happy that people are looking for those alternative ideas, that ancient heretical wisdom. And I'm very blessed, especially when individuals like Rob, who really knows how to distill these ancient mysteries for a modern meaning and see how it manifests in our art, in our culture, especially in these Gnostic times, this Philip K. Dick world. We need that gnosis more than ever, and we need to wake up, because this is still a world where men have nipples, and Peter Sellers wore brown face in the party, Birdie Num Num, And somebody wrote a song called Warm Leatherette. So it's a crazy great world, but we need to wake up and see things for what they are. And thank you for your support. And Rob, thank you very much as always for coming to the Virtual Alexandria. Get Rob's book. It's very good. We only scratched the surface, and you're going to go on a great journey with Cinema Symbolism 3.
Definitely.
Well, thank you, Miguel and Vance, for having me on. Again, it was my pleasure to be here. And like I said, anytime you need me as a guest or you want me on, I'll be more than happy to return. But it was my pleasure to be here tonight. And again, thank you. And this has always been one of my favorite podcasts, one of my favorite shows to do. You both know exactly what you're talking about. And again, I appreciate you having me on. And thank you. And I look forward to returning maybe in the near future or when my next book comes out.
I hope so. Yeah, let's get you on even before your book comes out. We'll think of something fun, interesting for the audience. And Vance, as always, thanks for keeping us company and keeping company with this podcast for the last, I think now 4 years.
4 years, yep.
You honor the Virtual Alexandria, and we all appreciate you to death.
Well, it's a lot of fun. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. And for you audience, for you in the chat room, love your comments. Love your insights. Yes, John Galt says, Miguel, you've made me self-conscious about my nipples. We know there's a demiurge when men have nipples. It's as simple as that. And I know. So, but yeah, you people in the comments, love your comments, your questions. And in a couple weeks, we'll have another AB Live. So please have a great rest of the week. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being yourself, your true self here in the desert of the real. And write your own gospel and live your own myth. Good night, everyone.